Have you ever experienced a coincidence that felt too meaningful to be random? Maybe you were thinking about someone you hadn't spoken to in years, and suddenly, the next day, they appeared in your life again. Or you opened a book by chance, and the exact sentence you needed was already waiting on the page. Moments like these feel strangely different from ordinary coincidences. Not just surprising, but almost perfectly timed, as if something invisible had quietly arranged the moment. Experiences like this have fascinated people for centuries. Across cultures and throughout history, people have described moments where life suddenly seems to align in unexpected ways. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung gave these mysterious events a name. He called them synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that appear deeply connected, even when there is no obvious cause linking them together. But Jung's idea raises an even deeper question. Why do certain coincidences feel trivial, while others feel almost destined? Why do they often appear during moments when we are searching for answers or standing at important turning points in our lives? Sometimes it feels as if the outer world is quietly responding to something happening inside us. A thought appears in your mind, and soon after, reality seems to echo it. A question forms within you, and unexpectedly, life presents an answer. Are these moments simply random events our minds interpret as meaningful? Or could they reveal something deeper? A hidden connection between human consciousness and the universe itself? To explore this mystery, we need to look at two very different perspectives. One comes from psychology, through the work of Carl Jung. The other comes from a completely different direction, from the science of energy, vibration, and frequency, explored by thinkers like Nikola Tesla. And when these two perspectives are placed side by side, they reveal a fascinating possibility about the nature of coincidence itself. Carl Jung did not arrive at the idea of synchronicity through theory. He arrived there through experience, through years of listening to people describe strange moments in their lives, moments that didn't seem random. One of the most famous stories from Jung's work happened during a therapy session with a young woman. She was describing a dream she had the night before. In the dream, she saw a golden scarab, a beetle that in many ancient cultures symbolized transformation. Jung listened carefully as she spoke, and at that exact moment, he heard a faint tapping sound coming from the window behind him. He paused, turned around, and opened the window. A beetle flew into the room. Not exactly the same species from the dream, but remarkably similar. Jung gently caught the insect in his hand and showed it to her. "This," he said, "is your scarab." For the patient, the moment was shocking, not because of the beetle itself, but because of the timing. The coincidence seemed too perfect, too precise. Something inside her shifted at that moment. Her rigid way of thinking began to soften, and the therapy session moved forward in a way it never had before. For Jung, the importance of the moment was not supernatural. He wasn't claiming that dreams control reality. What fascinated him was something subtler. The event outside the room and the event inside the woman's psyche appeared to be meaningfully connected, even though neither caused the other. Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence, two events that occur together, not because one caused the other, but because they share the same meaningful moment in time. Over the years, Jung noticed something interesting. These kinds of coincidences often appeared during periods of deep transformation in a person's life, moments when someone was questioning who they were, or searching for direction, or standing at a psychological crossroads. During those times, life seemed to respond in strange and symbolic ways. A chance meeting, a dream, a symbol appearing unexpectedly, a message arriving at just the right moment. To Jung, these experiences suggested that reality might be structured by more than just physical cause and effect. There might also be patterns of meaning woven into the fabric of life. But Jung's idea leaves us with another mystery. If these coincidences are not caused by direct physical events, then what kind of universe allows them to happen? What kind of reality could connect inner thoughts and outer events through meaning alone? To explore that question, we have to look beyond psychology and into a completely different perspective. A perspective that sees the universe itself as a vast system of energy, vibration, and resonance. And this is where the ideas of Nikola Tesla begin to enter the conversation. If Jung believed that meaningful coincidences reveal hidden patterns of meaning, then another question naturally appears. What kind of universe would allow such patterns to exist? Because if inner thoughts and outer events can sometimes align in strange ways, perhaps reality itself is not as random as it appears. Around the same time, Jung was exploring the mysteries of the human psyche. Scientists and inventors were uncovering something equally fascinating about the nature of the universe. They were discovering that the world around us, everything we see, touch, and experience, is not made of solid matter in the way we once believed. At its deepest level, reality is made of energy and motion. Atoms vibrate, particles oscillate, invisible fields ripple through space. The universe is less like a collection of objects and more like a vast ocean of vibrations and frequencies. Few people spoke about this vision of the universe more vividly than the brilliant inventor Nikola Tesla. Tesla once suggested that if we want to understand the secrets of the universe, we should begin by thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. To him, the world was not simply mechanical, it was rhythmic, resonant, alive with invisible patterns of motion. And one of the most fascinating principles Tesla explored was something known as resonance. Resonance happens when two systems share the same frequency. When that occurs, energy can pass between them almost effortlessly. A tuning fork vibrating at a certain note can cause another tuning fork nearby to vibrate in sympathy. Two musical instruments can resonate together across a room. Even entire bridges have collapsed in history when vibrations match their natural frequency. Nature is filled with examples of resonance, systems responding to each other through shared vibration. Now imagine this idea on a much larger scale. Imagine the universe itself as an enormous field of interacting energies, stars vibrating, planets moving, electromagnetic waves traveling invisibly through space, and somewhere within this vast energetic network, the human brain is also active, generating electrical signals, oscillating in complex patterns of neural activity. Our thoughts themselves are not static objects. They are dynamic processes, patterns of energy moving through the brain. So what happens when we place Jung's idea of synchronicity alongside Tesla's vision of an energetic universe? A fascinating possibility begins to emerge. Perhaps meaningful coincidences occur when different patterns within this vast system briefly align. Not because our thoughts magically control reality, but because we are already part of the same interconnected universe. Just as musical instruments resonate with certain notes, the human mind may resonate with certain experiences, and when the timing is right, events that appear unrelated can suddenly fall into alignment. A thought appears, a meeting happens, an opportunity emerges, and the moment feels strangely meaningful, almost as if the universe briefly moved in harmony with something happening inside us. Of course, this idea does not suggest that every coincidence carries cosmic significance. Randomness still exists. Chance still plays its role. But moments of synchronicity invite us to consider something deeper, that beneath the surface of everyday events, there may be subtle patterns linking mind, meaning, and the energetic fabric of the universe. And when those patterns align, we experience what feels like a coincidence that is too meaningful to ignore. Stories of meaningful coincidences appear everywhere, across cultures, across generations, and across completely different walks of life. What makes these experiences fascinating is that they rarely feel dramatic in the moment. They often begin with something very simple: a thought, a question, a quiet moment of reflection. And then, something unexpected happens. Imagine someone who has been quietly considering a major change in their life. Perhaps they're thinking about leaving a job that no longer feels meaningful. They haven't spoken about it to anyone. The thought exists only inside their mind. But over the next few days, something unusual begins to unfold. They overhear strangers discussing the courage it takes to follow a different path. Later, they come across an article about someone who completely changed careers. That same evening, an old friend calls unexpectedly and begins talking about a life decision that sounds strangely similar to the one they have been quietly contemplating. Each event on its own seems ordinary, but together they create a curious feeling, as if life itself is somehow participating in the moment, not forcing a decision, but gently illuminating a direction. Many people describe similar experiences, thinking about someone they have not seen for years, only to unexpectedly run into them soon after. Writers, artists, and scientists have also reported moments when insight appears at exactly the right time. The chemist August Kekulé, for example, once described dreaming of a snake biting its own tail, forming a perfect circle. When he woke up, the image helped him understand the ring-shaped structure of the benzene molecule. The idea did not arrive through calculation. It appeared through a symbolic moment emerging from the unconscious mind. Experiences like these often appear during periods of transformation in a person's life. Moments when we begin asking deeper questions. Who am I becoming? What direction should I take? What truly matters now? During such moments, our awareness becomes sharper. We begin noticing connections we might normally overlook. And sometimes the world around us seems to mirror something happening inside us. Carl Jung believes synchronicities often appear during these moments of inner change, not necessarily as proof of a cosmic plan, but as brief glimpses of a deeper pattern connecting mind and world. So what should we make of these moments? Are meaningful coincidences simply random events that our minds interpret as special? Or could they be hints of something deeper about the nature of reality? Psychology offers one possible explanation. Carl Jung believed that synchronicities reveal moments when our inner psychological world and the outer world briefly mirror each other, not through direct cause and effect, but through shared meaning. Physics offers another perspective. The universe, as modern science increasingly reveals, is not a static collection of objects. It is a dynamic system of motion, vibration, and interaction. Everything exists within patterns of energy and resonance. And within this vast, energetic universe, the human mind is not separate. Our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions are also processes unfolding within this same system. So perhaps the mystery of synchronicity lies somewhere between these two views. Not entirely psychological, not entirely physical, but something that emerges at the intersection between mind, meaning, and the deeper patterns of reality. When we look back at the meaningful coincidences in our own lives, they often appear during moments of transformation, moments when we are asking deeper questions. Who am I becoming? What direction should I take? What truly matters now? During such times, our awareness becomes more sensitive. We begin noticing connections that might normally pass unnoticed. And sometimes the world around us seems to respond in subtle ways. A conversation appears at the right moment. A symbol emerges unexpectedly. A person enters our lives just when we need a different perspective. None of these moments prove that the universe is guiding us. But they do remind us of something important. That reality may be far more interconnected than we usually assume. So the next time you experience a coincidence that feels strangely meaningful, pause for a moment, not to assume that the universe is sending you a message, and not to dismiss it immediately as pure randomness, but simply to notice it. Because sometimes life presents moments with an unusual sense of timing, a conversation that changes the direction of your thinking, a sentence that appears exactly when you need clarity. A person who enters your life at the moment, everything inside you begins to shift. Perhaps these moments are only coincidences, or perhaps they are small reminders that beneath the surface of everyday events, there may exist patterns we do not yet fully understand. Patterns connecting mind, meaning, and the quiet rhythms of the universe. And occasionally, in a brief and unexpected moment, those patterns reveal themselves, not as certainty, but as an invitation to remain curious about the deeper mystery of life. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the Healing Galaxy so our energy field can continue to grow and expand. Thank you for being here, and have a peaceful day.